what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
Hello and welcome to the Say What Again podcast. This is our very first podcast, and because it's our first podcast, we thought we'd do Quentin Tarantino after the show's named after one of his famous lines of Pulp Fiction. My co-host for this podcast is Josh and Daniel.
Hey.
So in latest news, Quentin Tarantino's come out and said he's going to be writing an R-rated Star Trek. What do you guys think about that?
That's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Very interesting.
But it's kind of like Star Trek and sort of like R-rated. They don't really seem to go together. Like what do you think of Star Wars? Like Star Wars, it's kind of like
It's interesting, you know, because Star Trek it's kind of been this kind of like kid kind of thing. You know, it's happy, it's suitable for kids, families, stuff like that. And it being R-rated, it's just going to be a bit strange.
Yeah. What do you think, Dan?
I think it would knock a lot of loyal, hardcore fans away. That's definitely for sure. Because as you just said, Star Trek is a real, sort of, family-friendly sort of style. Yeah, there's the newer ones where they're not afraid to show a little bit more death and a bit more violent. But R-rated is a bit of a leap, if you ask me. But, yeah.
It's quite funny actually because since they've slowly been getting darker, like, but they've always been sort of PG-13, or well, the Americans call it PG-13, but they're like 12A here,
Yeah.
and they're like getting like, then they've been like 12A and stuff like that going
Well,
on.
there's Discovery, and that's a 15 now, actually. So maybe we're edging a bit closer to the
Like a Tarantino kind of Star Trek. I'm expecting like explosions of blood and stuff in it.
Yeah, well, yeah, like those little funny plasma guns blowing huge holes into people. It's a bit out of nowhere, and Tarantino doesn't really have a filming style for Star Trek. Star Trek's a bit, I don't know.
No, because he's never really done a sci-fi, has he?
No, he hasn't.
He's always been like traditional kind of gangsterish.
He likes his
Westerns.
gritty places, and Star Trek is this real clean, smooth sci-fi, isn't it? So I think it'd be quite something, wouldn't it?
But as you said, like Star Trek Discovery, it could be easing people into like slowly getting into an R-rated sort of thing, because obviously like the fans are like from the original when it started back in the 70s and 80s, like, or it might just be 80s, I'm not sure.
60s actually.
60s?
Yeah, that's how old it is. Might have been even 50s, but I know it's in the 60s. That's really
They don't start off on TV, and then it kind of went off to like, it then went on to like the movies and stuff, and then we had Star Trek Genesis, which I think is in the DVD pile somewhere. But it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a bit weird that is all. So moving on from that, obviously, is Tarantino Soundtrack. So what are your guys' favourite soundtracks from Tarantino movies?
Ooh, that's a nice wide category we got here.
Right,
I like it.
So, you gonna start?
I'll probably, I can't really say soundtrack, but I can say specific songs, like, Hanging Flowers on the Wall and Lonely Shepherd. The bit was playing in the end of Kill Bill Volume 1, and the fight scene, I liked that, but I'm gonna have to say the Kill Bill, actually, soundtrack, if anything.
Yeah.
Not many people say that, but I liked that one.
I think my favourite Tarantino soundtrack would have to be the Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
Like, the score from that film was just awesome. Like, it wasn't Tarantino's classic kind of 70s pop kind of songs. It was like orchestral, like orchestrated, and it was just
he was kind of trying to get that sort of spaghetti western film. I've forgotten the director for it, but he had that very strong orchestral style too.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he was trying to get.
It was the soundtrack taken from The Thing. It was the same composer. I think it was like Inicio Morricone or something like that. And that soundtrack was just great.
It's quite funny actually, because basically like what he wanted to do is because he sees sort of like similarities between his work and the thing, because he basically what he wanted was like, from especially in Hateful Eight, he was like, there's 4 walls in cinema, so it's like they bounce through all of them. It can only go out towards the screen to build that tension, and the soundtrack also does that very well, I think. But also Django had a really good soundtrack.
Yeah.
With Freedom and that lot, so that's one of my favourites. Like obviously Freedom, Django, like Who Did That to You, the Tupac one as well as.
Unchained, I think it was called.
Unchained.
Yeah.
Well, no, Unchained was the name of the song by Tupac.
Which is, sorry, I always remember it as like just the sort of Django Unchained with Tupac.
Yeah, it's a mixed match of songs, right? It has like two titles. It's like got two songs in it. It's got Payback and it's also got Tupac.
Yeah. But it's quite funny because he always uses quite 80s music, which is quite interesting. He always goes to sort of the 70s and 80s, and a lot of the references come from that sort of era of movies, which is quite interesting. Yeah, that's it. Any others like from Reservoir Dogs? Because obviously Reservoir Dogs has a really good soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and made those songs even a little more extra popular.
Yeah.
Stuck in the Middle with You and all. So yeah.
A little green bag as well.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. Didn't the version, the Green Bag version in the beginning, wasn't that its own version sung actually for the film too? No, I think.
Was it?
Yeah, there's been a few versions of the Dutch version before that one, I think. So, yeah.
Just makes you want to torture someone with that song. Tom Graham probably, but that's just a guess. So yeah, is that everything we got on the soundtrack for anything else? Yeah, cool. So yeah, that's basically soundtracks done. That's all the latest news on it and just thinking. So let's have an ad break now with Sweet Sue's canned chicken dog food. It's UK launching and it's actually pretty good. What do you guys think about it?
It's a brilliant product. Like, I can feed my dog just one can of this a day and he'll be stuffed. It's brilliant.
Well, you,
Yep. Chicken. Dog loves chicken. Who doesn't love chicken?
I mean, Tom Graham's going to have it, so it's got to go to someone.
That's from Sesame.
I know, I just feel like bullying him today.
Yeah.
And we also like to start thank our Kickstarters as well. You guys want to?
Yeah. Thanks to Alex Damon for donating.
And the other people as well. That's really good.
James DeWitt. And anyone else who would like to say hello? Tom Graham. And so, and if any of you want to, get your name on this podcast, feel free to support us and everything, and
Donate.
or even donate even more, and you might get a mug, a T-shirt. So, or even better, you come onto this show and we talk about you and your favourite films. So, there we go.
So now we've done all that, let's go back to what we were talking about with Quentin Tarantino. We've all picked our favourite Tarantino movies. So let's start off with you, Daniel. Yours was Reservoir Dogs, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of my favourites, but yeah, I decided to talk about that one since it's, I think it's a little bit, his first one, so of course, people don't consider it his best one, but I don't know. I really liked it, it wasn't this sort of, what do you call it, like non-linear sort of storytelling, was it? It was all over the place, clip and everything, so I don't really have anything to say about it right now for some reason.
It's kind of weird because I was watching Reservoir Dogs a couple of weeks ago. It's kind of like on multiple viewing. Like I could watch it if it was on, I'd watch it. But it's not something that I'd watch voluntarily. I mean, for his first film, that is brilliant what he did. For his first film, that is excellent. But and I'd be happy with that. I'd be more than happy with that. But it's kind of like. It's still quite a boring movie.
Yeah, it doesn't really have that fun factor. You can't really rewatch it after you've seen it.
Yeah, it's
just
quite.
gotta see it once, and that's it.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
I could watch it a few times, but I know most people can watch it twice and that's fine. You got it because it's very basic. It's very simple to know. That's it. There's not that too many memorable lines in it either, like his other films. So that's true.
But it's also quite. Well, I was watching it, and it's like it was weird watching it because I was watching it. I was like, this is actually quite slow and tedious. And then I kind of, after finishing it, I was like, that's actually. I don't know what's about it, but it just made me really like it. It's really weird. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those movies that it's kind of like Pulp Fiction. You watch Pulp Fiction, like I really love watching Pulp Fiction for a lot of it, and it's kind of like, it's like. Really watch it too, you could then you kind of stop watching it and you kind of go, this is actually really good, Which actually leads us on to your one, Josh, which is Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yes.
Film I've seen too many times.
Yeah. It really can't be explained because there's just too much to explain in it, but it's just great. Multiple like non-linear storylines that go on in it.
Yeah, it seems to be a favourite technique of him, doesn't it?
Yeah. Took that straight from Reservoir Dogs and then implemented it into Pulp Fiction.
But it's kind of like with Pulp Fiction, he's always known for Pulp Fiction more than any of his other movies. Well, maybe Reservoir Dogs was very well mentioned, and maybe some of his like Inglourious Bastards. It's like just those three films that really cement his name. Like it's called Pulp Fiction. Yeah. But it's kind of like like other films that he's been like Jackie Brown, Well, no one knows about Death Proof. No one talks about Death Proof.
Not too many people know about Jackie Brown. No, to be honest. I didn't know about it until like a year ago or more.
Yeah. One of the less famous ones.
But it's because he just uses, like in Pulp Fiction, they talk about stuff in such an interesting way. Whereas in Jackie Brown, he thinks, oh, I'm going to take that and I'm going to build on it more. But it really didn't work for him that way. Which is kind of a like really bad thing, really, because it's like you could have made something really good. Like, because that's all the things though. When you make something really good, you're like, I want to add this to my next film, but then you kind of spoil it for yourself, and it's something.
A special move only works once. You can't do it all the time. So
Trying to reuse the same formula for like different films, kind of like what they did with Star Wars.
Yeah,
like
practically.
Episode 4 and then Episode 7.
It is a thingy. So moving on to mine, which was Django Unchained. And Django Unchained, the reason I like this movie more than any other Quentin Tarantino movie, it's just because it's fun, it's interesting, it really engages you. The German doctor is amazing. It's about a slave that gets freed by the German bounty hunter. And then they sort of do a bit of bounty hunting, and then they go to Candyland to save his wife. And it's really interesting because again the soundtrack's amazing. Everything about it's like the set design, everything's really beautiful in it. Like it's really well made, and I really like it. It's one of my favourites.
And then they introduced the most ridiculous blood scripts I've ever seen, the Candyland shootout.
Yeah.
Painted the walls with their chest bursting open.
I think that was too much.
it was overdue. We had a lot of fun in that.
Between that and Hateful Eight, there's like they were both pretty bloody.
Yeah, I know.
What's interesting about it as well is Django Unchained is meant to be like a lot worse. They edited so much of it out that it's a master. It's really good, really good. It's like they edited it. It's meant to be a lot more darker. And it was like Quentin Tarantino could handle it, or other audience members can do it. So in some ways it could have been better if he did it more like that. But it really depends.
I don't know, the way it came out, it was okay the way it came out. I can't really see it being darker.
Yeah, I mean, slavery and everything, but hey, it's just all just in the end, when everything all hope is lost.
So yeah, that's everything. Like, we need to talk about Quentin Tarantino. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about Quentin Tarantino?
I think Inglourious Bastards is a little bit overrated, but yeah, I'm not fond. I think that might be my least favourite one of his films.
Is it?
Yeah, never got into that one. Like, I've always liked the World War II sort of films, but this one, I thought was all over the place. It was actually a bit pathetic. He's sort of lazy in this. I just didn't think it was just him. Yeah.
It's quite funny actually, because when we were doing our Inglourious Bastards didn't come. When we were doing this podcast, we had to do audience research, and people's favourite movie was Pulp Fiction by like one vote, but the one that was below it was Kill Bill.
Yeah.
So I believe Pulp Fiction got seven people wanted it, and then like it was about 6 for Kill Bill. And it's quite interesting because the majority of them, because I was watching it quite closely when my friends were going down and I was looking through it, and the majority of them were girls. Like I think all of them were girls actually that did it. And it's quite funny because he always said that it was Kill Bill was meant to empower women, and it really does.
Well, it's a really sort of Charlie's Angels, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's great.
But it's kind of it's something that's decent. I mean it's pretty good. But yeah, that's.
You prefer Volume 1 or Volume 2?
Volume 1.
Yeah, I think everyone prefers
Like,
Volume 1.
Volume 2 was kind of boring and tedious.
It took its very slow start, and unlike Hateful Eight, where it was super slow, but at least the dialogue was very entertaining. It wasn't insane. Volume 2, but I think he just wanted to finish this story.
Heath Ledger, there was like no deaths until like
No, not until the
into
very end. There was no deaths. It was all talking about coffee and the letters. Yeah.
But that's going back to what I said earlier about the sort of building between four walls, where the tension can bounce between all three, but eventually it'll have to go out to the audience, and then you feel tense because you don't know who's done what and who's done what. Like for example, when Samuel L. Jackson's character was talking to, I believe it was the general.
The general, yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about how he pretty much made his son walk out in the snow, and basically he wasn't begging anymore. He just wanted to heat before he died, and basically,
Humiliated him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
humiliated.
it was all building up to that, to the general picking up his gun, and then Samuel L. Jackson shooting him.
Yeah, and it's that throughout the entire thing, so you don't know if they're telling the truth or not. It's really interesting. But that's all we've got time for today's podcast. Next week is Christopher Nolan, that's Star Trek for next week. So yeah, that's everything. So that's everything on the Say What Again podcast.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you for watching. See you guys later.